Hi, Kim Rayner here with All About Spirits Life After Cancer, and I want to welcome you to episode 41 of Life After Cancer. And you know, when we get a cancer diagnosis, it impacts every aspect of our lives, our social life, our physical life. It impacts work, it impacts our friendships, it impacts our families. It impacts everything. So I created this program, All About Spirits Life After Cancer, because when I was going through my treatment, I was looking for a kind of support that I was having a hard time finding. So I do this show every Monday morning at 10 o'clock, and I post show notes after just to kind of do an overview of what I talked about in this show. And today I'm actually traveling home from a speaking engagement in Minneapolis. So I'm on the road and stopped at a technical college, and I'm sitting in their beautiful wooded area to be able to do today's show. So like I said, today's show is episode 41, and it's about early diagnosis. It's about what happens when you get into the medical system and the process begins. And the reason for this show, or I'm working with someone who is in the very early stages of, wow, there might be something going on. And she's walking through that process. She went in for a routine mammogram, and it's her very first mammogram, and they found a lump that they're not sure exactly what it is. So that started the journey for her, and it reminded me so much of my journey, because she talks about being healthy, and she talks about feeling really good, and it's like, how can this be? How can this be happening? And a lot of times that really is our reaction. How can this be happening? What is going on? And then all of the changes that start going on in your life just because you've now been put into the medical system. And you know, I've talked to her a couple of times over the last couple of weeks, and one of the things that we talked about last week was all of the telephone calls. It's like, geez, I'm trying to do my life here. I'm trying to do my work here. Will you just leave me alone? There's the lab draws, and there's radiology, and there is x-rays and CAT scans, and then there's biopsies. And it's like, oh, just stop already. Just stop. Stop. And the truth is, if you're going to follow traditional medicine, traditional Western medicine, it's not going to stop. It's just part of the process. And one of the best things that you can do is just surrender to the fact that this is what's happening. This is what's going on, and not fight it. When the calls come, if you can shift your perspective and look at them as, oh, you know what, these people are trying to help keep me on the planet. They're trying to make sure that I'm healthy. So thank you. You know, thank you for watching out for me. Thank you for checking on me. Thank you for setting up my appointments for me. Thank you for explaining what's going to go on next. So that's one thing that's really helpful. The next thing that I would suggest is, because you are going to get a million phone calls, you're going to get a million appointments, you're going to get a million things that go on. So I would strongly invite you to purchase a notebook. Get a really good ringed notebook, not a loose leaf one, because the loose leaves are too easy to lose. But once we start that medical process, there's somebody going to trim some weeds here. Once we start that medical process, we are going to have to take notes. There's going to be things that we want to keep track of. And we absolutely need to keep track of our own medical information. The doctor's office is going to do it, but they don't have time to sit and read every little thing that's gone on. So my invitation to you is to literally get a notebook and record any questions that you have in one place. If you have quirky things that are going on, if you have oh, that's really distracting. I hope you can't hear that. If you have questions, if you have symptoms that are coming up, if you have things that you're not sure about, things that you're wondering about, I would put them all in one notebook. Put them in a place where you have it all together, and when something comes up, you can just grab your notebook and go to the doctor's office, or grab your notebook and ask your questions. So that would be my invitation to you. The next thing that I would suggest in this process is to really find yourself a sounding board. Find a person who you can talk to just vent about what's happening. Somebody who's not going to try and fix things. They're not going to try and convince you that you should or shouldn't be feeling a certain way, that things should or shouldn't be going a certain way, that you just have somebody who you can talk to and share. And that may or may not be a family member. Sometimes families get wrapped into their own concerns and fears and worries about things, so that might not be the best person to talk to, as your partner or your spouse. Just really find yourself a family member. Somebody to talk to, and not to freak out if it's not your family member. And so the three things that I talk about today, the three things that I want to share are, first of all, when you're in early diagnosis, accept the fact that you are going to be in the medical system. You are going to have phone calls and doctor's appointments and labs and CAT scans and x-rays and all of the other things that go along with cancer. They're going to be part of your journey if you decide to go traditional medicine. The next thing is to really accept where you are as part of the process, to really accept that and to get a notebook to start tracking the stuff that's going on, to start paying attention to that stuff. And then the last thing is to find yourself a sounding board, somebody that you can talk to, somebody that you can vent with. So that's it for today's show. I know it's kind of short and sweet. I'm in the far western end of Wisconsin, and I have about 3.5 hours to go yet before I'm home. So I'll post show notes sometime later today. I hope that something in this show was useful and helpful to you. And as always, if you need help with your journey, please feel free to reach out to me. And I have one more thing I want to mention. I started a new project called 1000 Cancer Survivor Stories. So if you have a cancer survivor story that you'd like to share with me, either as the survivor yourself or as somebody who cared for a survivor, who walked through the journey with someone who had cancer, I would love to hear from you. This is going to become part of a book that I'm writing, and so I would love to hear from you. If you found this information useful and helpful, I invite you to share it and like it on Facebook. And as always, until we have a chance to talk, I hope that life treats you well. Thanks for being here today, and make it a great week. Bye.